let me put in here. Hi, y'all. Surviving Mama. Hey. Let me type this name in real quick. Well, the title. Um, let's see. Hey, y'all. Let's chat. Bam. All right, put this in. Going to pin the comment. And then I'm going to request. Yes. Y'all come on in here.
Hey,
Hi.
how are you?
Fine. Nice to finally meet you.
Girl, yes. I mean, we be out here in them clubhouse streets, and it's
Oh my
like,
gosh. Were you on there late last night?
girl, I was waiting. I see you get up there. Listen, they was cooking. Okay, I'm
Listen,
like,
cookie.
it was so crazy because I was literally up trying to edit a video, and
Yeah.
I'm getting pinged. I'm like, why is y'all who pinging me at 1 something in the morning?
Listen, that was the best pig I got in a long time. So I'm like, listen.
Listen, what happened? I'm trying to figure out what did I miss.
Listen, I'm all for learning, evolving, and all that good stuff. But a little niggatry every now and then is always a plus.
Listen, I'm like, this is crazy. I just washed my hair this morning, and it keeps making my glasses fog, and it's annoying me.
It's
But
quite all right. It's quite all right. Look, we're gonna push through. And so
listen,
we're gonna introduce ourselves. And so I will start. I am Wendy Wisdom. I'm a licensed social worker and mental health professional. And I love talking about uncomfortable conversations, dealing with relationship patterns, and showing us ourselves because we think it's our partner all the time, but it's really us. So
exactly.
anything with relationships, breaking patterns and cycles of abuse, childhood trauma, love, faith, all that good stuff, honey. You'll find it here
Yes.
on the Wendy Wisdom channel. And let me have my guest introduce herself.
Okay, so I'm Jasmine. My page is Jasmine Deshay. And I am a mom. I'm entering into the influencer space. I am also working like pharmaceutical services, like pharmacy services and stuff like that. And that's it. I love talking relationships, marriage. I'm not married just yet, but
Not
I love
yet.
talking. But I love talking relationships and marriage and womanhood and all of that. Like I just talk in the conversation about the toxic mother stuff that came up in Clubhouse, that sparked, oh my gosh, conversations that I was always timid about having.
Yes. Yes.
But when I got up to speak on a lot of things, it brought a lot of clarity as well. So I'm excited for us to talk about this, to be honest.
Yes,
I'm ready.
absolutely.
I am ready.
So that's so I've been dibbling and dabbling with mama trauma and mother wounds conversation here and there for several years now. But whenever I post about it or have done a live before, and I did one clubhouse room on it, and I was talking about mental health and childhood trauma, and I think like maybe 2-3 people showed up. Okay, so these are uncomfortable conversations that people don't
They are, and
usually
you got to start
feel.
pinging me. We be in
Okay,
the same rooms.
I
We be in
will.
the same rooms all the time. You got to start pinging me.
Yes, I definitely will. And Clubhouse kind of scares me. So I'm just like, let me stick to Instagram and YouTube. I ain't got time. A Clubhouse is ghetto. I'm sorry. It's a little
Listen,
ghetto.
it's starting to get real ratchet over there, okay?
Yes. So basically, guys, just to be clear, the title is Surviving Mama Trauma because no matter what you've gone through, it's all about what you do with it, is what I want people to understand. You can choose to have a better relationship with yourself and others, but you're going to have to do the work. And so that's what I wanted to talk about. Jasmine has a great story. So I want her to start off with giving us a little bit of how her relationship with her mom was back then and how it shaped you as a woman. Like, did you have any challenges in teenage years? All that good stuff.
Child.
So when I got
up on Clubhouse that day, I'm like, oh, y'all talking to me today. Let me put my glasses back on for this one. I don't want to make it too long because I know we're not gonna,
please don't.
We literally would be here all day.
Right.
But I will say, so for me, my mothering experiences was a little bit different because I did not grow up with my mother. It's my mother is my grandmother's youngest daughter. So, and she was a teen parent as well. So I grew up with my grandmother, being raised with my grandmother, and around like one of my aunties, because I have another auntie that isn't as active. And that's not her fault either. So she kind of experienced a lot of the same things I experienced. So for me, it was hard because, you know, when you're a kid, you kind of wonder where, especially if you didn't grow up with neither parent, you kind of wonder where they are, what they're doing. If they've been thinking about you, like what happened. And you never fully get the full story of what happened. That's the thing that kind of irks me. You never get the full story. And like I said, a lot of my mama trauma, I guess you could say, that I had to work through in my 20s and things like that came from just in the household that I grew up in. Even though it was just me and my grandmother, I definitely had like toxic women. And I really don't want to say toxic women, but definitely like a toxic woman that was kind of in and out of our house all the time, that was around me. That kind of caused a lot of my traumas as a kid. So when I got older, I was trying to, it's weird because they say that mothers love on their sons and but they raise their daughters. You know what I'm saying? Like you just raise them for survival long enough for them to just basically make their way out. And that was literally my situation. So I wasn't necessarily nurtured, but I was raised enough to basically, once I turned 18, I was my own guardian. You know, I turned 18 my senior year of high school. I didn't have nobody was no longer the parental guardian over me anymore. So my first instinct out of high school was to just leave. And that was it. Like, and I had to work through those traumas in college. And I had to have hard conversations about that once I got to college that I didn't want to necessarily address. Like my friends knew some things, but they didn't know a lot of stuff either. And some of my friends are just now finding out that I went through some things that I've gone through. So.
Okay.
So, yeah.
How did it show up in your friendships? Like, were you a people pleaser or were you mean and guarded?
Definitely people pleasing for sure. Like trying to make everybody happy, trying not to piss nobody off, trying to always be the peacemaker, trying to always the quiet one that really wouldn't say a whole lot. And then it honestly turned into me, quote unquote, mothering my friends. Like when I was doing stupid things and doing like dumb stuff, like doing dangerous stuff, like you know what I'm saying? We all drank in college, but when they would get dangerous with it, it would turn into me mothering my friends. And they're like, oh my gosh, Jasmine is the mom of the group. And I'm just like, because that protection part of me that I felt like I needed, it came out when I'm like in my friendships, and they were like, okay, Jasmine, you need to relax. Like relax.
I can relate.
Yeah. And then like in relationships, it was kind of the same. Like it came to where I was dating guys that I was mothering because like I said, mothers love their sons, they only raise their daughters. So it came to a situation where I was dating guys that needed to be mothered. Like I'm doing like cooking for them and doing all these things and all of that, like stuff that I shouldn't have been. Listen, you ain't got to tell me. I told Gabe, like I told Gabe, you checked me without checking me when I first met him on Clubhouse. But relationships, it was definitely like mothering the guys that I was with and having to be that strong Black woman at a young age kind of thing. But I was forced to be very independent.
Yeah.
I was forced to be very independent because even as a senior in high school, even before I was a senior, I really had to take care of myself. Like I really had to look out for me. And that made me very like to execute, like get up out of there, you know? And then when I got to college, I was my own guardian. I had to get out of there. Like I had to take care of me. I had to make sure I had money. I had money for books. I had money for tuition. I'm like, my student loans ain't in nobody's mama name. It's in Jasmine's name. Like I had to take care of me. Yeah. And but that taught me too that a part of the negativity of that was that my family, the women, because a lot of them were, I would definitely say, bitter. Because they were hurt in relationships, they were hurt by men. So they basically tried to teach the girls to like, you can't trust a man, you can't depend on one, and this and that. Like they all had this negative view towards men and towards like marriage, because none of them are married. I've only had one auntie that's been married twice. Everybody else is unmarried as hell. And they push that off on you. Yeah, you gotta go get it. You gotta do this. You ain't got time to be there. You ain't got time for marriage. What you thinking about marriage for? And I'm like, what? and
you had to learn on your own that those are some very negative and unhealthy thought patterns. And when people don't well, nowadays they call it we're too masculine, but it's like you were given no other choice. You were put in situations where you had to care for yourself, then you care for everybody else. You learn, I got to take care of things or things ain't going to get done.
Exactly.
And instead of looking at it as, we're just driven, we're goal-oriented. Now you're too masculine. If she thinks she's strong, according to Kevin Samuels, run away from these kind of women,
But you know what's funny? Like in college, I kind of started to learn the difference between the masculine feminine thing.
Yeah.
Like that's when I started to step into my femininity, but I kept the independent parts really like low key. You know what I'm saying? Like I just kind of kept that kind of quiet. Not that I was ashamed to be like an independent person, because I was forced into that type of, lifestyle. It was just more so, with men, we know how men are. They like to, feel like they helping you, saving you or something. So a lot of times it just was like, it worked in my favor to just be quiet.
Yes.
Honestly, it worked in my favor to just be quiet.
Yes. Like I've never subscribed to the whole independent woman thing. Ever. I don't. And I feel like if you truly a strong woman, you don't have to go around announcing it. You know what I'm saying?
Thank you. That's
if you are really resilient, you don't have to announce, I'm a strong Black woman. I'm a strong Black woman. Girl, don't nobody care, because all. Because usually when you are usually I realize with women who have mother wounds, they are nurturers, right? Because we wanted that so bad. So we tend to mother people. We're very nurturing. And so we tend to attract those who want to be healed, those who are wounded by their mamas, those who want to take from us versus appreciate the fact that, hey, we're not here to hurt you. We're not here to harm you. Let's build something. You know what I'm saying? Be genuine with me, because I'm a genuine spirit.
Yes.
But we tend to attract those who need healing. Yes. And we
attract broken folks. We attract broken folks, for sure.
Yes. Yes,
like,
absolutely.
I have friends and people that just meet me and have these random long conversations with me, because I have a video coming out on my channel talking about loneliness in motherhood, because a lot of women are feeling like they don't have anybody. Like I have women in my back checks, DMs, that just pour themselves out, and I'm just like, I ain't never talked to this girl a day in my life, but she feels like she needs to share everything that's on her heart about what she going through, how she feels isolated, her family don't help, this and that. And I find myself that's starting to become a trend even in my DMs. And I'm like, ooh, y'all feel, I say, y'all making my heart feel like like palpitate over here. Like, what's going on?
They have you paying attention to the fact that the spirit is calling you to encourage other women. And so the reason why I chose to do this live with you, because as you shared your story, I'm just like, oh my God, other people need to hear this, and I love hearing women who have been through the worst stuff, whether it's from family, friends, relationships, and they're like, guess what? I know that I have to change some of these patterns and things that I've learned so I can be a better mother. I can be a better woman overall. And I think, you know, of course, there's no manual to being a perfect mother. 9 times out of 10, you ain't healed all your traumas by the time you have a child. And so sometimes we repeat what has happened. I did a live video last week, and my guest said, my guest was saying that she may not be physical with her daughters, but that yelling, and she realized where she got it from. Like, you know, yelling was something that was normal in her household.
Listen.
So she's like, wait a minute, I don't have to have my tone that loud to get my point across. And so we have to be intentional about breaking the patterns, because if you're not careful, you'll start to repeat some of those. So share with us what you do. Hi, Shireen. That was my guest last week. My good cousin. So share with us what you did, you know, because you became a mom. Like, what did you tell yourself? I can't have my daughter go through this. I have to be more nurturing. Like, what was the conversation? What did you do?
That was a struggle, because I had my daughter at 26 and I was still in that healing phase.
Yes.
And then it's weird because my healing phase came from parental and familial to relational.
Yes. That's
like
the normal pattern.
with the father. So it went from me healing one thing to now going through another thing. And it was just like, what the heck is going on? But I definitely can attest to some of what your cousin was saying, because I grew up in a very yelling, screaming, you getting called out of your name when you 8, 9 years old, you getting called a bitch or a hoe or a slut. I'm sorry if I can't say that on Instagram, y'all. I don't know. But you're getting called names that you don't even know what they are yet.
Yes.
And the yelling for no reason. Like, you don't have to holler. And I was a timid kid, so nobody had to holler at me to get me to listen. I wasn't a trouble kid. I wasn't the getting suspended every week. I was very quiet. And a lot of times I would cry just if somebody thought I did something wrong, right? Like, that was me, right? But that toxic motherhood makes your kids very timid. I'm sorry, it makes your kids very timid. So for me, having my child at 26, I was already like a new mom. I was trying to have a relationship with my own mother. It just wasn't, it was always off and on. Like, it's always been off and on, and now it's just completely off. But it was always off and on as I became an adult. Because when I became an adult, I decided to try to have a relationship. And it just was always off and on, and I was just off. But that definitely shaped how I viewed mothering my own daughter, because I started from the day she was born. Like, all that baby talking, we don't baby talk over here. Even as an infant, you're going to talk to her in full sentence. Because I don't want nothing slowing down development. Nicely, I took a lot of like child development courses in college, so I kind of had like the textbook versions of some of this stuff. But to live it in real life, I'm like, oh my gosh. And then even a week within her being born, I was isolated. Like, I didn't have nobody helping me with a newborn. Nobody was around. Nobody was helping me get to the bathroom or to take her so I could even freaking take a shower. Like, I was truly living the full single mom. I'm alone with an infant life, and I'm healing my body, and I'm trying to breastfeed a baby. I'm off work on maternity leave, and it's just us two in the house, like literally just us. So that situation though bought for me how I mother her, because I'm hard on her, but not in a way where I'm just like beating and screaming. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, yep, I have realized sometimes when I get the yelling, I bring it back. I check myself, like, oh no, Jasmine, you getting too out of pocket. Like, you need to chill. Because I realized that she doesn't like it. You know what I'm saying? I don't freaking like it. I didn't like it. So why would I sit here and scream at my kid? I didn't like it. You know what I'm saying? So for me, it just took bringing some of that back, how that shaped my mothering. I'm very nurturing with her. A lot of people say I do a little too much because I don't necessarily require, she's only 5. So I'm like, they like, okay, do you make her clean her room or sweep and do all that for what? I said, our mothers had us doing that, like heavy chores and cleaning and cooking and stuff at 5, 6 years old. Like, yeah, that's a skill they need to learn, but you turning your child into a workhorse, like they're a kid.
Yep.
I'm like, my daughter now is a STEM student, you know, saying she started kindergarten at 4. She's a STEM student. I'm like, my child got enough going on. She got homework coming in this house. Like, she got other stuff going on. So when it comes to making her do things out of the ordinary, which her only things I make her do is like, put your toys away, put your clothes away. I'm not going to require you to be a workhorse. And her instinct, though, is to help me. But I bring it back like, no, I got it. You want to know why I got it? Because I'm the mom. You're the kid. Go sit down. Go be a kid.
Yes.
So my instinct is to just let her be a kid. Let her be. I just let her be. And that's it. And a lot of people like, you know, you got to stop doing so much. No, I don't. I have to stop doing anything. Because when she be like, people ask her like, well, who cleans your room? My mom cleans my room. My mom makes my food. My mom makes my snacks.
And that's perfectly fine for a 5-year-old. But you see how our culture and our community is programmed through conditioning. A 5-year-old should be doing way more. No, children need the freedom to be children.
That's it. And
people don't realize that they're making their kids, you said workhorse, but in my field, it's called making them parentified. And then, you know, once we keep being parentified, taking care of everything, you know, we can cook and clean by the time we 10 or 12.
Listen.
You know, because my sister was cooking like a full course meal by 12, 13.
Listen, like, I think I got a cousin watching right now where she's the oldest of her siblings and she had to care for them, but that's because her mom was working all the time. It wasn't that she was trying not to be more present, but she was always working. And she had to be the mother. She had to mother her younger siblings. And for me, I have siblings. I just didn't grow up in the house with them though. You know what I'm saying? So how I mother my daughter is I just let her be. Like, you know what I'm saying? Sometimes she say some things out her mouth that have you raise your eyebrows. You like, wait. And sometimes you're like, well, hold on, who you talking to? But you know what I'm saying? Sometimes you have to kind of pull it back. But I've read books like, there's a book called like Scream Free Parenting or something like that. I got it too. And I don't know. It's something like that. And then I also read the 5 Love Languages for Children. Because every kid needs something different. Every kid doesn't, just because this kid is sad, they may not want a hug. They may just want ice cream or a snack. Like, so I had to pick up my learning from other sources because I felt like I didn't like necessarily my upbringing and I didn't like how I was treated. I didn't like how I was talked to. So I really try to change that when it came to her. And that's really it. Like, I try to be conscious of it. And when it comes to certain things that she used to me doing, if I don't do it, she checks me, baby. Checks me. Like, if I tuck her in at night and let's say I have to start picking up clothes off the floor or something in her room, she kind of like, hold on, like, you didn't give me my hug or my kids before I go to sleep. And I'm like, dang, can I get over there first? Like, I'm just picking up clothes. And she checks me sometimes when it's like, Mom, what are you doing? Like, where's my hug at? Where's my kids at? Like, you didn't tell me good night yet. And she like, and she does that to me. And I'm like, okay, I know that my kid needs that every day. She needs that every night. She needs that nurturing. She needs to know that she needs to hear daily, like, that I love her. So when I send her off to school in the morning, she knows that. When we go to bed at night, she knows that. And I just kind of leave it that way. Somebody asked who's the author of the 5 Love Languages.
I'm looking it up.
It's Gary Chapman, the same person who wrote 5 Love Languages. He got 5 Love Languages for singles, kids, teenagers. Because I'm gonna get the teenager one as she gets older. It's Gary Chapman.
Absolutely right. 5 Love Languages of Children. Gary Chapman and Ross Campbell.
Yes, y'all, that book, just like it lays out 5 love languages for relationships and couples, it really gives you insight to let you know, like, what your kids are thinking, what their emotional needs are, their mental needs. Like, when my daughter tells me she's sad, I ask her, like, what's up? Like, why are you sad? Like, what's making you sad right now? Like, what's bothering you in this moment? Because her mental health has become a priority for me too. I'm working on mine, but I have to nurture hers as well. And part of that nurturing her mental health is keeping her from toxic family.
Yes. And you listen, you got to do what you have to do. Because I know you talked about, like, breaking certain patterns, like you're very health conscious. You're very careful about, you know, taking care of yourself and your daughter. Also, you were at her school, I think, a week ago, whatever. So, you know, you're active, like you are being intentional and actively involved. And I want to commend you for that.
Thank
Even
you.
you realizing that, hey, I want to do some things differently. And that's what this is all about, choosing to do something differently. But a lot of people don't even realize anything needs to change. They feel like this is how it was in my family. This is what it needs to be, and not even realizing that kids sometimes don't know how to articulate what's wrong or to even say that they're sad. A lot of times they don't feel safe enough to tell the adults around them they feel sad, they're hurt. And these
Yes.
kids at school are ruthless. Like,
listen, because when I talked to y'all that day,
yeah.
when I was on that phone talking that day to y'all Clubhouse, I'm like, y'all, I'm getting ready to walk to my daughter's school because I kind of like started working with her after school like latchkey program. They call it Kids Club at her school. And listen, these kids need a lot, right?
Yeah.
They just need, they really need like the nurturing parts. Like, yeah, you kind of need the masculine parts of your dad that kind of is like the more stern one, but you need your mother to be the other half of that. Because if your mother's the stern one, then you're going to kind of grow up to like really not like her. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that's just being honest. And I am very active. People be like, dang, y'all always doing something, going somewhere, because neither one of us like being in the house. So whether it's, I take her on my on vacations with me, we always going somewhere, pumpkin patches and outdoor events and carnivals and all these other things. And people like, you know, they find it to be kind of shocking that I'm active, because they like, you know, when do you spend some time like, you know, adulting time? I'm like, y'all got to know my story to know why I don't get out that much with adults, because it's like when you're a sole single parent, meaning that there's no familial support, no other support. There's no
And I
one
was
that
going to ask you that. Okay.
Yeah, when there's no one you can call and pick up the phone and say, hey, can you watch it this weekend? Because I want to go do this. We don't have that. We don't have that luxury of having that. So she's with me 24/7. So, you know, if you're not one of my mom friends or my single dad friends, and we be like, hey, let's take the kids to the park, then I pretty much can't do it. Like, I just can't. And I don't feel no type of way, because now that she's older and a lot of the things that I enjoy, weirdly, she enjoys. I like being outside and taking long walks in the park and going to the pumpkin patch and all that kind of stuff. And my kid loves those things. So we just do them together. Like, that's it.
According to urbassist.com.
So,
at the English town of
is that Alexa talking?
Alexa, stop.
I got one in the hallway and I'm like, yeah, girl, you good.
Okay. Sorry about that, guys. Let's look at some of these comments real quick. Thank you guys for participating. Welcome, everybody. So let's see. A lot of people can relate to your story, Jasmine.
Yes, come on, Shireen.
Yes, families need healing from those generational isms. That's right, Karen. Billy says, good afternoon, Queens. We got hearts. Shireen and April wanted to know about the book. We gave them that information. Karen says, allowing her to be a child. That's right. You got to allow kids to be kids, honey.
Oh, Karen said families need healing from those generational isms. Woo.
Yes, they do.
Come on, Karen. That's what I'm talking about.
And we just talked about that because Jasmine, you know, you said you had to like make sure your daughter was healthy and stuff like that. And it's definitely important.
Oh, girl, I get talk junk about all the time because she likes asparagus is her favorite vegetable.
Oh wow!
Like, and then she goes through these time frames where she's like, yeah, I don't want to eat meat, and people are like, what? They like, what kind of child you got? And I'm like, if she wants to make better food choices, who am I to say like, oh no, like that's crazy. I said we grew up eating ham hocks and all this other stuff. I didn't even like that stuff growing up. I just ate it because I had to. I didn't even like it because when I got to college, I didn't even eat that kind of way. I didn't eat that way at all when I got to college, and I don't eat that way now. So even just stuff like that, I'm like, y'all, like I said, I want to be around for my kids. I want to be 75, 85 with some grandkids running around. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to shorten my life with just stress, food choices, or stress from family and all that kind of stuff. I don't want to shorten my time here because of all that. So for me, it's just more so about we can't get it right every day, all the time. Everything is not perfect or true enough, but you can at least make it the healthiest that you can get it to be. And that's it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, I'm learning the importance now of, because I was once prioritizing everybody and everything over myself. And I did that intentionally. Yes, I was taught to do that. I was conditioned to do that. But now that I'm in my late 30s, you know, I'm learning like, girl, it has to be about you now. Like nobody else. Yeah, it has to be about me. So that was another thing I liked about your story. Because, you know, there were some things I wish that I would have learned earlier about proper eating habits and stuff like that. But now that I'm an adult, it's my responsibility. And so that's my focus now. So let's see. Karen says, can you pin the title of the book? I'll repost it, Karen, because I don't want to touch anything and
listen and mess this thing up. Because I was gonna comment it, but I'm like, I ain't trying to.
Yeah, I don't want to type in the wrong thing. That would be terrible. Shireen says we got to show them love, especially with affection. Yes, affection and nurturing them.
Yes.
Even though, you know, I can imagine how stressful it is. And I think we touched on that the last video. You know, for mothers, especially if you're a single mother, even some married women, when I hear them talk, their husbands don't help with the kids at all. No dropping them off at school, no picking them up. Some husbands believe that is the woman's role. And I'm like, you know, like when I worked my old job, I'm like, okay, so some of these married women talk, boast and brag, you know, I'm married and this and the third. But I'm like, it's 8:45 in the morning and you slamming things around on your desk. You have a very mean spirit. What is wrong? You have multiple incomes in your house. You have a husband. Like, why are you angry? If anybody should be angry, it's the single people around here.
Right.
Okay.
But you know what's funny? And that's why they be over there getting cooked. Because y'all want women to mother, to nurture you, to care for you, to work 40, 50 hours a week, and to do all them and do the pickups and the drop-offs and the children. That's too much.
Yes.
And we have been conditioned to think that we can do all that, and we can't. We cannot do all that.
Yeah.
Some people make it look easy. It used to actually like not bother me, but when people be like, dang, like, you know, like, you make motherhood just look easy. I'm like, y'all, it's not. I'm like, I've had to adjust my entire schedule around my kid.
Yeah.
If I can't take certain opportunities because if it doesn't fit within like her school schedule, we can't do it. Just anything, like even when it comes to like
even this, like I knew you were going to choose an afternoon because I'm like, what if she has to go to her daughter's school, or you know? So I knew you were going to do afternoon. I've never done a midday show, but I'm like, hey, I want to talk to mothers, like, because I want to hear about people breaking the cycle of abuse and emotional abandonment, emotional neglect. Like, I want to talk to mothers. You know what I'm saying?
Let me touch on that. That's one thing that that's why I told the young ladies on Clubhouse to, while they're college age, y'all go talk to the counselors and therapists on your campus, because without knowing, I had to realize the fact that I was dealing with abandonment issues as a young 20-something, you know. So feeling abandoned by, you know, your own biological parents that made you, and then by the people that raised you, you kind of like, damn. And then it's like, it got to the point where, and I just told my auntie this like a month ago, it's like, you know, that you feel isolated or you feel abandoned when you getting ready to fill out some emergency contact info and you ain't got nobody to put down. You ain't got nobody to write down on that emergency contact info. And that was a situation I ran into just in the last couple of months when my daughter started school this year. Like, they make you put down like an extra emergency contact outside of the parents. Yeah. And they're like, yeah, so you kind of got to put somebody down. I'm like, well, who the heck? I'm like, who? She got me. We live down the street. Yeah. Like, if something happened, I'm literally 5 minutes away. Like, just call me. They like, well, what if we can't get a hold? Oh, baby, please understand. You're going to always be able to get a hold of me. Like, that's it.
Right.
That's it.
Don't worry about it.
I said, my child is like very in tune, because she pays attention to everything. She's super nosy. I'm just gonna say that. She pays attention to everything. She knows what's going on, but she doesn't say nothing. But she's one of them five. Well, she just turned 5, so she's one of these 5-year-olds that ask really hard questions. She asked me, "Where is this person? Who is this?" It got to the point. Like, because I don't talk to my father either, but it got to the point where, like, a month and a half ago, I was literally just using the bathroom, and kids don't give you no privacy. She walked in and just started asking random questions. She was washing her hands. She like, "Yeah, Mom, so what's your dad's name?" I'm like,
yes.
I'm like, "Babe, you're 5, you're 4. I don't even know how to have this conversation with you yet. Like, I don't know how to have this conversation with you yet. I don't know how to navigate that with you yet. Like, I want to tell you, but I don't know how to yet. Like, I don't even know if you're old enough to receive it right."
Right. But kids do want to know. Kids
they want to
know, especially if they hear their peers talk about, "Well, I spent the weekend with my grandma and my grandpa." That makes them inquisitive, because I remember when my great nephew was staying with me for a while, he asked his father, which is my nephew, about his father, and my nephew walked away. Like, he didn't want to talk about it. And when my nephew had stepped out, my great nephew, who is 9, at the time he was 8, he asked me, "Auntie, where's Daddy's father? Isn't that my grandfather? I've never seen him." I was like, "God darn it." I was like, "Let me put on a social worker hat real quick." And
Listen.
so I showed him a picture, but I told him, because he's a little older, and, I told him, "You didn't upset your father," because he felt like he did something wrong by asking about it. But I did tell him, they don't have a relationship. And when your father gets ready to talk to you about it, he will. I said, but it's nothing you've done wrong. Because he did take it that he did something wrong by asking about it.
Yep. And see, with kids, you have to explain that it's not their fault.
Yeah.
It was kind of the same thing. Like, at one point in time, I mean, this was even in the last couple of years, like in the last year and a half since the pandemic. Like, I tried to regain a relationship with my mom, because we almost hadn't talked for like 9 months or something. Ooh. Prior to like August of last year. But I don't like that when you try to let somebody back in, or trying to mend something with someone, or you trying to at least be back open to having something with someone, and then they just kind of disappear again, right? Because technically, I mean, that's my daughter's grandma, right? But she's asking questions like, "Where is this person? Where is this person?" I can't answer them questions for her, because, to be honest, baby, I don't know. Gotcha. Like, I don't know. I don't know why. It's like, I can't explain to my daughter why these people treat your mother the way that they do, right? And it's like, I keep her away from a lot of things, because we just don't do a lot of stuff. Like, we just don't engage in a lot of the things they engage in. You know what I'm saying? A lot of the women in my family are weed smokers and cigarette smokers, stuff like that. And I don't drink, I don't smoke. I've never tried none of that. So I purposely keep her away from.
Go ahead, Jasmine. Breaking those cycles left and right.
I just, you know what, Wendy, I never had a urge to try it. Drinking one thing, like in college and stuff or whatever, but and now it's like an occasional wine or something like that. But smoke, I never even had to want to try it. You know what I'm saying? But that, and then, like, growing up with a toxic aunt as well, who screams and yells and cuss you out and call you out your name, who still talks to her children that way, who talks to her grandchildren that way. You think I want her talking to my kid? Absolutely not. I don't give a damn if she don't ever know your name. I'm sorry, I don't. Because at the end of the day, the people that love her, love her. The people that want her to flourish, they nurture her in that way. Like, even my viewpoints on marriage, I didn't get that from my family. I got my viewpoints on marriage and what I want and what I believe in. Me getting dragged on Clubhouse one day because I said I believe in gender roles. But but even stuff like that, those viewpoints came from a lot of my friends in high school's parents, who were in like either traditional marriages or just in healthier marriages. And I never told this, I'm about to say this on Instagram, but I had never told anyone that I would have secret conversations with these women just about relationship stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Marriage stuff. So a lot of my even thought process at that young of an age came from people that I was not related to.
Yes. Yes. Because we want to connect with, especially women. I don't know if that was the same for you. And I've always gravitated to older women.
Me too.
Or women my age who have been through a lot. It's like we bond, we connect, and I respect, older women. Now, I will say, as I've gotten older, I realize some older women, they speak from their experience, and sometimes they are in a bitter space. So you know which ones to listen to and which ones to not listen to, right? And so, but I always adore learning from older women, especially when you didn't get certain information and life wisdom on how to handle certain things. Like my mother went through things, but she never sat and explained, this is how I dealt with it, or this is why I'm hard on you in this way. She never explained those things, but then had an expectation, you should just know. Well, no, I don't know. There's no communication,
Girl.
So let me ask you this. You mentioned that your aunt still, is verbally aggressive with her kids and her grandkids.
Girl,
Have
yeah.
you
I know
ever
I'm
seen?
gonna get some text messages after this, but go ahead.
I'm
I already
sure,
know.
listen, but this is not, and let me just say this, I always have to reiterate it. This is not, we're talking about the behaviors. I will never put down my mama, nobody else's mama,
exactly,
or family. It's behaviors.
It's
patterns.
explaining the behavior pattern. That's what people gotta understand.
That's
people take
it.
it so personal, like, oh, you saying this, or
yes,
or you letting out family secrets kind of thing. And it's like, no, I'm explaining behavior patterns. I ain't said nobody's name.
And nobody's name. And also, I didn't even ask, because I can, but I would not for this type of setting ask very specifics, because in my professional life, oh yeah, I need to know very specifics. Where did you get hit? How many times were you hit? Like, I don't do that in this setting, because we do have to be careful how much you share, and it's about what you're comfortable with. You know what I'm saying? Yep. I don't ever want any of my guests to feel like we're getting too personal or anything like that.
Oh no, girl, you good. Because even on Clubhouse, baby, I was letting it loose.
Right. You let it loose, and I'm still not bringing up those things. I'm letting you go with what you feel comfortable, because this is going to be here on my page, and it's going to be posted to YouTube. So, it's like, so I'm letting you share what you want. But yes, on Clubhouse, you let it loose, honey, okay? And so, and I love that you are getting free. You know what I'm saying? Because that's going to help other women. I got a lot of messages, and I got a few DMs. That room helped people to see that they're not the only ones who have family shame and guilt from how things happen, and the fact that their moms don't want a relationship with them, or their fathers never even tried to mend the relationship with them. People are carrying a lot of shame, and what we do with their shame, we internalize it. What is it about me? Why didn't they try to build a relationship with me? Like, why do I have to fight to have a relationship with my parent? That weighs on a person's spirit. You know what I'm saying? So I want people to feel encouraged, like, you're not the only one, but we can't sit and think we're victims. What are you going to do about it? How are you going to break the cycle moving forward so you can be a better woman, a better man? Because I also need some men to participate, because I'm going to do a video on dealing with men with mama trauma, and I already know I'm going to get DMs, and
so
men going to be upset. And I know men are going to be upset, but I'm giving you an opportunity now, fellas. Do you want to participate and be one of my guests to talk about how your mothering experience, affected you, the good, bad, and the ugly, right? Because it needs to be talked about so that we can foster people saying, hey, let me watch how I talk to my kids. Let me be a little more attentive and intentional about the relationship that I'm building with my children. So no, I was going to ask you this, and we'll get to the questions and stuff because we're winding down in time. With your aunt cursing at her kids and her grandkids, did you ever notice her kids or grandkids cursing back at her or yelling back at her? Or okay, so you did.
I've me and one of my cousins still share a couple of the same friends from like high school. And this is her mom, but I mean, we've literally all heard them like say, "B, you have to shut the F up." Like she'll go back and forth, and they've
With
all
your
kind of
aunt?
done that. They all done that with her.
Yeah. Yeah. And the
So
reason why I asked that is because in me working with children and families, I realized, like, I'm just gonna be real. These children from, I want to say, ages 8 to 20 to 21, they are savage. Like, I couldn't imagine sitting down saying to my mama, "You a hoe. You don't even know who my daddy is."
yeah,
I'm like, "Oh my God, you do know I gotta leave y'all by yourself, right? Like, your mama gonna kill you when I leave, right?"
listen.
But they don't care. They will embarrass their parents. There's kids assaulting, fighting their mothers back. Just the worst. And I'm like, there was times I thought about fighting my mama back, but I didn't do it. Because that's back in the day. You gonna get hurt. These days, these kids do not care. They will curse you out. However that you're treating them, they will treat you back. So that's why I asked about it. Because people act like, oh, it's just new. This stuff is just happening. No, no, no. This is generational, and it's been happening.
It's been happening because I'm definitely a 90s kid.
Mm-hmm,
and it happens.
Yeah.
Because
yeah.
I mean, we was like fresh teenagers, adults, and you hear people cussing their mama out. Like, if she call you a B, you call her a B back.
Yes.
If she call you this, you calling her one back. If she called you all types of dumb, stupid MFs or whatever the case may be, I've heard them call them that back.
Yeah. It's shocking to me. And I'm like, that's nothing but pain. That's anger. You know what I'm saying? For you to try to break the spirit of your child. And then your child is like, you know what? I'm tired of this. You this, that, and the third back. I'm like, that is toxic. And women, also be very clear that men are watching how you talk to your children. I have heard several men, okay, say, why would I take her seriously? Do you know how she talk to her children? She treat her children like XYZ, and they can list how you treat your children.
That is facts. And I don't want to get into my dating life right now, but but men definitely respect how you handle your children, because then they look at it like, okay, if she handles her kids this way, then I know that if we were to have children together, get married, she's going to handle, our kids in this way as well, as we collectively have them,
Yeah. Yeah.
A lot of men do look at that. A lot of men respect it. And then a lot of them look for that. They don't want someone that's like a wildfire, a wild card raising their kids. Like, that's just like, I got cooked in my DMs the other day when I posted a question that said, why do y'all allow y'all 14, 15-year-old daughters to get tattoos?
Yes.
I got cooked. Okay.
Really?
And I had to cook back because I said it's inappropriate. Like,
yeah.
I say y'all get mad at these girls and y'all tell them they too grown. Y'all tell them they fast, but then you let them do stuff that, and then you swear it be these grown men to stay from these young girls. But if you signing off for your young daughter to be tatted up, pierced up,
lashes,
lace fronts, colored hair,
wigs.
What do you think? So what do you think a 20-year-old dude gonna be thinking when he sees a 15-year-old with a lace front? I'm not trying to blame the girls, but y'all, the mothers and the parents, got to understand. You let your children leave the house like this. You let your kids go out like that. You have given your kids the okay to go and definitely, to change their body. Like, come on now. At the end of the day, you can't get mad at the girl for doing things. Like, we can't get mad at these teenage girls for being out here with lace fronts, wigs, weaves, all this other stuff, and nails out here long and all of that when the mothers are allowing it. You can't get mad at the dudes that's looking at them, because we can get mad at them, but at the same time, let's just be real. You're putting your daughter out here in the world to be portraying herself as a woman, and she's not.
Yes, absolutely. Like, I didn't even know that young girls, I didn't know they had push bras for 12, 13-year-olds.
They sure do.
I didn't even know
they
that.
Sure do got push-up ones now. I bought my daughter a bathing suit off Shein and ain't put it on her because it had the pads And I was like, no, ma'am. I
Yeah.
said, no, ma'am. Not in a toddler, a kid bathing suit. Y'all got the pads in there. Like, that's crazy. And I'm like,
that's
Whitney,
unfortunate.
I've worked so hard to really get to a healing place, because I still go to therapy from time to time, when I can make the time in. And most of my appointments have been like virtual because, you know, but the most of my revelation with all of this was definitely in my college years.
Okay.
And when I started going through phases with my daughter as she was an infant and having to work through that when she was smaller, it started to resurface, and I had to kind of rework it through it, because now it wasn't just about me. It was not just affecting me, but it was affecting my daughter, another human being as well.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
I just thank you for even inviting me to this conversation, because when you was talking up there, I'm like, okay. And you was like, you know, whoever open to having these me, because listen, when it's you hit the nail on the head with something a little bit ago. You was like, you know, you're so comfortable to talk about it. I only got to this point because when I used to talk about it in my earlier years, like in my early 20s, it used to make me sad. It used to make me cry. It used to frustrate me. But when I finally knew I got to a healing point, is when I knew I can tell certain things that happen and talk about certain things out loud without getting mad or crying over this and that, right?
Yeah.
And I just had to come to the realization that I can't control nothing that happened when I was a kid, or nothing that happened, or how I was raised, or how this person talked to me. What I can control, though, is how much access they got to me. That's
absolutely.
and that's what the women need to understand. You can control who got access to you, period. And who got access to your children. They just because you related to them don't make them your blood.
Girl, you better speak that word, okay? And it's hard sometimes to set boundaries with our family members, but especially when you have children. And I get it for some mothers. In my work, I get some mothers like, well, I don't have no other choice. Because I was working with a young mom. She was like in her early 30s. She had 5-year-old twins, and one of them was mimicking everything grandma would say. Grandma would sometimes walk around with a knife, say she wanted to kill herself when her kids wouldn't give her money or basically give in to her demands. And her 5-year-old son started mimicking that. And so I told her, you have to find someone else.
Literally.
Either you have to build a relationship with somebody, or you're going to have to pick up some extra hours to pay somebody to watch your son for 2 hours.
Listen,
because that right there, because anytime you as an adult, you have to hide knives because you're scared of your 5-year-old, that right there is a problem.
That's a problem.
And her mother's like, I'm not changing anything about myself. I ain't got to watch your daggone kids. And I'm like, listen, the choice is yours. Either you leave your kids with her so that they can continue to pick up these negative coping skills. Because when a grown person don't get their own way and they walk around talking about, I'm going to kill myself, that's some attention-seeking behaviors. Because, ma'am, you're a grown woman. You ain't did it yet. Spare us this little show.
Yep. And I'm going to tell you, I'm going to say something real short, because I know we're going to have to go in a second, but I had that same experience because in the first year of my daughter's life, I had to pay. This when I was trying to have a relationship with my mother, I had to pay her to watch her so I can go to work, right? I had to pay her. Now, mind you, with paying her, I'm like, why am I paying you? I can go pay a childcare provider that's going to teach her. And it's like at the end of the day, I wanted to be home with her full time, but that just wasn't our situation, right? Yeah. They didn't have as many remote opportunities to work that we do now. We didn't have that 5 years ago. We just didn't. But weirdly, a coworker came to my desk and was like, dang, you did just have a baby on not that long ago. You looking for daycare or anything? Because my son used to go to this at home, like private daycare or whatever. No lie. Talked to that lady the same day. She was a God-fearing older Black woman that was like that's super old school, but she's very nurturing. She's she would have the kids praying like over their lunch. Like she was one of them like very God-led people. And when I say that was the best thing that ever happened to us, that was the best thing that ever happened to us in that situation.
Wow.
Because like I said, a lot of our support never came from our relatives. I'm not going to say never, because I definitely have an aunt and everything that has definitely helped me, like the other aunt that I actually get along with. But our support in me mothering and working at the same time definitely came from people that were not related to us, people that I worked with, this daycare lady that nurtured us, the daycare teacher that was really like present in our lives, that nurtured her and me. Like, I didn't cry on them people lap before, like like seriously. And it's just like, women got to understand that you got to do what you got to do. If you got to work extra hours to pay that child care, work that extra hours. If you got to ask friends, family, not friends, family, but ask co-workers and stuff, do they have any suggestions on where they can send their kids? Get that from them.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. Do a little Google search before you leave your kids with certain daycare providers. You know, do your due diligence. My two best friends, they are always researching these daycare providers and before and after care programs. They want to know everything before their child go there. And I'm like, I love it, because
I'm the same way.
Yeah, you know, because you just never know. And kids are so vulnerable. So let's read some questions, comments. So let's see. So Shireen said, yes, put in the effort to change the cycles, period. It won't be perfect, but change is good. That's right. It's never going to be 100% perfect, but your effort is everything. Your money matters. One says, I love it. My mother always cooked healthy meals, and I pass it down to my son, but I'm a little more strict. Right now, it's both parents' role in the kid's life. That's right, Grissom, but, you know, women can't wait around for the other parent.
Oh, Shireen just snatched my edges. She said, it's bad behavior. It's bad behavior. It has to be addressed whether they like it or not. Facts.
Absolutely. Shireen said, it's dual responsibilities over here with the kids. My husband's help. That's right, Shireen. God bless you, honey, because I be hearing some stories, and I'm like, all your husband do is pay 50% of the bills. He don't help with kids. He don't do nothing. I'm like, no wonder why you stressed. So yes, that's a blessing, Shireen. You said, I don't understand why husbands wouldn't assist. This is not the 1950s. Mothers have additional responsibilities as well. Absolutely.
That's absolutely.
You handled that well, Wendy Wisdom, with your nephew. Yes, honey, you know, my baby. Karen said, don't kill the messenger. That's right. Please don't kill the messenger. We just out here trying to encourage people.
Listen, don't get mad at me. I'm just trying to help. I'm serious. Don't get mad at me. I'm just trying to help bring somebody else to their healing point, because I have too many, they not crazy younger than me, but I got too many women in my DMs all the time. Like, that's venting to me. And I'm like, I got 25, 26-year-old women, 28-year-old women with 1-year-olds, with newborns, that's venting to me in my DMs, and this is getting out of hand. So when you invite me to this conversation, I'm like, I'm all for it, because this is getting out of hand.
That's right. Yes. If y'all have any questions, please put them in the comment section now as we're winding down. Shireen says they watch their parents disrespect family and elders, and now they do it. You have to break the cycle. Absolutely. And also, you know, when you're not getting that nurturing, or your environment is chaotic, it makes kids chaotic, and it comes out in their behaviors. That's why they hang with the wrong crew, looking for acceptance and approval. And they're fighting. Oh my God, when I say they're fighting and disrespectful to teachers and adults around them, I mean, that, how else do you expect them to act? How else
we might have to have an on the phone conversation, because when I hear what I hear in my daughter's school, and she goes to a really good school, it's a STEM school. When I listen to these kids talk at these after school, I'm like, yesterday it was some stuff that was eyebrow raising. I'm sitting here like,
oh yeah, oh absolutely. It's a lot. These kids are dealing with a lot.
And I can't imagine what you've been a social worker. I know you come across way more than I do.
Listen. I used to always say, I wonder why I'm not on drugs or something by now, because you take in a lot. You know what I'm saying? And I've had to work to not carry my clients' burdens home, because it's a lot sometimes. And no matter what these parents do, I still always have to treat them with dignity and respect, because that's what I signed up to do. And that's just my heart anyway, you know, because I know if you're breaking the spirit of your child, that comes from somewhere. So it's like, let's get to what is causing that, so that your child and you will have a better outcome.
Yeah, because
So,
like I said earlier,
yeah.
my daughter asked me those hard questions. I
Mm-hmm.
definitely have looked into and scheduled us some family therapy, not because I feel
Yeah.
like something's wrong with me or wrong with her. Like, nothing has to be wrong for you to go to therapy. I need y'all to say that. Nothing has to be wrong for you to go to therapy. Sometimes you just
Thank
need to
you.
go. It's
Yep.
just that simple.
Period.
But because she asked those hard questions, I felt like my child got some questions and she needs some answers that I don't know how to necessarily navigate that with her yet, because she's so young.
Yeah.
Intelligent wise, she's definitely over her age range, but she's still 5.
Yep.
Like, if that, it's like she still has those moments where she's 5, you know?
Yeah.
And
yeah. And it may just not be the right time. It may just not be the right
no,
time
it ain't.
for certain.
Mom ain't ready
For
for that.
certain
I ain't ready for that.
Well, look, at least you know what's on her mind, so you have time to prepare yourself, and you can ask your therapist, like, "Hey, like, how would you suggest I prepare for this conversation?" You know.
And that's exactly why family therapy is so important. So people got to understand, women or men in the industry or in the fields like Wendy, that's important. Like, y'all got to start reaching out and utilizing your resources. Like, I like to read. I like to read books, therapy books on like children and stuff like that. I got a book that I read last year called Toxic Parenting, like how to navigate your way out of that. I forgot who's the author of that. I should grab it. But seriously, like, I had to sit and think, like, I gotta figure some of this out, because
absolutely,
I don't got time for it. And I don't want it in my home space. I just don't.
Right. You want peace in your home. That's what I want, like, peace. And women, look at how men deal with their children also.
Facts.
Look at how men have relationship with their children, and especially their mamas and their sisters. Any man that's extremely disrespectful to his mother or sisters will disrespect your behind. So this,
Facts.
you know, it's both ways. So let me look at these comments real quick. Shireen said they will date you, but they won't marry you. Yes. To the angry women cursing everybody out. Yeah, men will screw you and date you, but they certainly ain't about to marry you. She says not age appropriate. This is so needed. Thank you. You know you've healed when the emotions no longer affect you in the way you're self-destructive. That's right. That's right. Let's see. It's highly recommended to research that they can provide us. Absolutely, Lucretia.
That's absolutely.
She said mothers have full-time jobs while caring for their kids.
Absolutely.
Yep, and they come home to another full-time job. Yeah.
Absolutely. And don't be a mother working from home, because, babe, you working and cooking and cleaning and tending to the entire day.
The entire day.
The entire day.
I think parents got a new appreciation for teachers now,
because
some of my clients now, they're like, before school opened up, they're like, oh my God, I'm counting down the days, Miss Wendy, I want them out of my house immediately. They're like, listen. They're like, I'm sending them to school with extra masks. Don't call me.
Listen, I ain't gonna lie. That pandemic last year, because she had just started pre-K at 3. That pandemic had me. I'm like, look, ma'am, because it's like she was still learning how to navigate working like the computer. So I would have to sit there with her the entire day, mute, unmute. All this. So I'm like, okay. And then the teacher sent all the kids home with materials. They're like, okay, parents, we need these materials today for this time frame. So I'm like, I mean, low-key already got that in my house, but at the same time, dang, like, I was being like the mom, the teacher, the cook, the lunch lady, the bus driver, all these things at the same time. All these things at the same time. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like, this is a lot. I'm like, I thought me going to college was a lot. This is a lot. I'm like, because the kids, imagine 3 and 4-year-olds on Zoom.
Oh my God.
Oh my God. It was stressful because, like, she needed my attention the entire day, because she's like, Mom, can you unmute me? Well, and the teacher's like, well, Jalise, you have to go back on mute. And I'm like, okay, I just would sit at the kitchen table, like, come on, mute, unmute, mute, unmute all day.
Listen, I only had to help my great nephew 2 days with the virtual learning, and he loves some Fortnite, right? He'll be on that PlayStation for Fortnite. But for school, this is boring. He kept on wanting to take a little break. I said, you ain't gonna play no Fortnite. And he's like, well, help me with these math problems. Girl, I was sitting there, I was like, oh my God, I'm not even a big drinker. I said, but I definitely got to get a drink. I was like, I would lose it if I had to do that every day. Oh
That's
my
what
God.
I hadn't drank coffee like that for real. And I had picked it back up at that time and I put it back down and I just posted on the internet the other day, like, look, I'm trying to go without coffee today because these kids at this after school program is running me ragged. I need a cup.
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
I need a cup.
Look,
like,
adults need outlets. Adults need positive outlets. You know, whatever outlet helps you, right? We need it. Lucretia said, listening to your kids is key. I discussed self-care and mental health with my 7-year-old. I told him it's okay to ask for a mental health day from school.
Facts.
Girl, look, with your 7-year-old, I know that's right.
Talk to him. Because I have let my daughter sleep in. When she tell me, Mom, I'm just very tired. Like, and you can hear it in her voice that she's very tired. I let her go back to sleep. I'm like, you know what? You only had a half day today anyway. Yeah. Like, I'm even saying like, and not saying like just let your kids stay home for no reason, but sometimes kids can be mentally exhausted.
Yep. Absolutely.
And she's at a school where the homework is more, the learning is more extensive. And she's like, Mom, I'm really tired. So like I make her go to bed earlier, but then it's like, if she needs to sleep in an extra 20 minutes, okay, sleep in an extra 20 minutes. We're going to have to rush up out of here, but sleep in an extra 20 minutes if you need to. Yeah. It's allowing them to just be. Yeah. Like, even though they're kids, they still have emotions, they still have mental health, they still have their own woes they trying to work through. Like, I'm just being honest. People think like, oh, they just a kid. They don't know what bills is like and what it is to have to pay bills and got all this and all of that. And it's like, no, they don't know. But at the same time, they have their own woes that they have to deal with.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And also, what people underestimate, children pick up on the energy in their environment.
Facts.
You know, so sometimes we on the go. Sometimes your kids are absorbing that energy. They were in your womb, so they feel things that's going on with you. They may not understand how to articulate it and what it is, but they feel their mamas. Everything their mother's going to do.
Because my kid is a major empath like I am.
Yeah.
She cry a lot like I do.
Yeah.
And she cry at sappy movies like I do. Yeah. So they definitely pick up on your experiences, even when you don't tell them what your experience was.
Yeah,
they do.
Yep, and they know when their moms are not happy. Because I remember a friend of mine's telling me that her son, I think he had to be 5 at the time, 4 or 5, and he asked her, was she happy? He knew the household was not happy, and she said that's what woke her up, because she was like, she hid everything, so she thought. You know, in the household, we smile, we act like a happy family, but her son somehow knew she was not happy in the marriage. And she was like, God sent her child to wake her up.
I'm telling you.
So we underestimate children a lot.
We do. I've done that. I've gone through that too. Like in moments of like, not necessarily sadness, but I may be in deep thought about something that was like bothering me, or that I felt like I was going back and forth on whether or not to address it with this person or this and that. Yeah. And my daughter would randomly say like, Mom, are you sad? Are you okay? And I'm like, I'm fine. I'm just thinking.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I'm like, I'm fine. I'm just thinking. And she's like, because when I get quiet, it's weird. It's like, we both talk a lot, but it's weird. But it's like when I get quiet, she feels like something is going on. Like, what's up? You too quiet? Like, you too quiet. Like, what's going on? And she gets to asking questions just when I get quiet. And it's like, I'm not dealing with anything. Mom, just quiet right now. I'm thinking, I'm strategizing some things in my head. I'm trying to like process some things that just recently, you know what I'm saying, happened, or maybe that happened at school, or maybe one of the kids at her school said something to me or in the program or whatever, and it had me thinking about something else. Like, it don't be nothing wrong with me, not necessarily. I just be thinking, and she thinks that something is wrong. Her instinct is to think something is wrong, and I'm like, yeah, we can't do that. Because I'm like, no, I'm like, it's okay for us to be quiet sometimes. Sometimes.
Yeah, so she's paying attention.
Listen.
Yeah, she's paying attention for sure. Lucretia said he has already taken a mental health day, and it changed his mood and way of thinking about self-care. That's good. Start early. Well, guys, I don't see any questions here, and I think that we have covered a lot. Hopefully everybody got that. It's a journey. Any type of healing, unpacking childhood patterns and traumas. And it doesn't even have to be something that was traumatic, but if it has caused you to pick up some self-defeating behaviors, it's worth looking into. It's worth trying to do it differently so you can have a better relationship with yourself and others. The others are your children, your intimate relationships, and yourself most importantly. Because you can't pour from an empty cup. That's how we were raised, from an empty cup. Broken glasses, frustrated adults. So you have an opportunity. That's why I love millennials and the generation before us, because we are actually we invested in life coaches, mental health. We are talking about things that people, our parents and grandparents and aunties were not comfortable, and they didn't have the platform to talk about those things, so we are truly blessed. But thank you, Miss Jasmine.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Thank you for, you know what, Wendy, I really want to thank you for having this conversation. Not too many people are having this conversation right now. Yeah. And I ain't gonna lie, it's weird because I'm a new YouTuber. My channel's still extremely small, but it's been on my heart. I feel like God has been downloading into me to have some of these personal conversations that I've gone through because of women that's reaching out to me. So I thank you for opening the door and even making me even think Jasmine just had a conversation, just posted, had a conversation. Whoever got something to say, just gonna have something to say. So I thank you for having this conversation, for opening that door, for continuing to have these conversations, because listen, they are very much needed. Yeah. We need to be talking about this a lot more, so we can bring up a different type of generation of women.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And, I want people to understand, at no point we didn't bash anybody. We ain't bash fathers, mothers, nobody. You know what I'm saying? It's really about your own healing journey, what you're going to do with it now, And I want to thank you for just being courageous and being open and transparent. I thank you for that. I thank you for acknowledging that there is a call for you to start having more conversations about this, especially for women who are mothering independently, is what I like to call it, but also the single mothers. Ooh, because some people feel like nobody understands what they're going through because they're a single mom and they have nobody else who understands. And I'm like, people understand, but you have to get out of your own way of feeling like a victim or feeling so bitter. There are other women who are doing it by themselves. And I think that there is people that are waiting to hear from you. So, I'll let the Lord lead you on that. But
thank you. But it's weird because that's exactly where God was leading me, to deal more so with mothers, because they look, this was your situation. You got to bring somebody else up out of theirs. And that's it. Absolutely. And that's exactly where I'm being led to, because I got a girl that was in my DMs 3 days ago, just was talking about a lot. And people know I have no problem being transparent. I will voice message folks all back and forth all day long, having conversations. So I'm just keep continuing these conversations. I'm definitely always open to being invited back. If you want to move it to Clubhouse, I'm down for that too.
Awesome.
We can just keep this going, because this is needed. It really is. And I love the fact that you bring it from a clinical standpoint.
Yeah.
To let people know what it looks like when you're sitting across from these kind of families.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. And let's see, the Freckles, I'm trying to get her on here too. She's from Gabe's room. She had awesome conversation, ladies. Thank you. Thanks, Lucretia. Thanks, Shireen, and everybody listening. Karen says, stay encouraged, Jasmine. And Wendy, your God sent champion and conqueror. All right now, yes. Look, only God can have me do it, because I'm like, I don't want to deal with this in my professional life and then personal, but I'm like, everybody I talk to somehow tends to bring up a mother issue or family issue. I'm just like, all right, Jesus, I hear you. So it's a sign, success leaves clues. So I'm being obedient. That's what I'm doing.
Talk to him.
Yeah, I'm being obedient. And Grissom said, I would like to speak as a minister one day. I know that's right. Listen, whatever God has put on your heart to do, whatever keeps showing up, Listen, pay attention to the patterns, period. Period. Don't expect other people to understand, because I had a lot of people telling me no one want to talk about relationships. Nobody want to talk about family issues because people going to do what they want to do. And guess what? Because we've been doing what we want to do, that's why we keep creating foolishness.
Exactly.
Trauma and drama.
And that's why we got a bunch of young girls running around here. We got a bunch of, what's that one girl that was on Dr. Phil? The unmelanated girl that was on Dr. Phil that causes all this controversy. You know who I'm talking about, Bad Baby or whatever. Anyway.
Oh yeah.
So when you got teenagers running around here just like that.
Wow.
And where does that get our children? Where does that get them? You know what I'm saying? Like, where does that get them? Like, absolutely. What does it get them? It doesn't get them anything. It doesn't get them closer to no opportunity. And for me, I'm all about just being able to award my daughter any opportunity that comes our way, any opportunities that she get. I want to be able to not only be a part of that, but I want to be able to award, you know what I'm saying? Like, be able to let her flourish in that.
Yeah.
But not be known for just out here running around like a crazy person. like a person like that's just running around here with no good God-given sense. Like, I can't, I'm like, no, we're not doing that. So, and a lot of parents have to stop letting their kids, quit calling them grown if you the one that's enabling them to do the things that's making them that way.
Jasmine said it, not me.
I said it, and I don't care who get mad. Let me quit. I can go all day.
Okay, but thank you guys for listening. Karen says, salute to you ladies for your bravery to heal and live. Yes, we're about to get free. Oh my God, yes it is. But thank you guys. I appreciate you guys joining. And Jasmine, what's your page again, Jasmine?
It's Jasmine Deshay. It's Jasmine with no E, and then Deshay, like Deshea. And that's
absolutely.
It. And make sure y'all follow me, and make sure y'all follow me and Wendy on Clubhouse, because we be in cooking sessions listening.
Absolutely. And I'm going to tag her when I save this video, so you'll know her page, to look out for upcoming things, since she's new to the influencer sector. So we'll be looking out for things to come. But thank you guys. I appreciate it. Have a good one. Bye, Jasmine.
Bye, girl. I can't wait because I'm going to see you in a minute.
Yes.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye.